Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome back to Let's Play Banjo-Tooie. In the last part, we started exploring Hailfire Peaks, and in this part, we are going to continue exploring Hailfire Peaks. This is the top area of Hailfire Peaks, and you can get up here just by climbing up the chain in the Coliseum Stadium. But right now we're Banjo solo because we're going to need to get an ability up here that is just for Banjo, and it's one of the very last abilities we are going to get with solo Banjo. There's only one more left after this, so yeah, look forward to that, I suppose. But anyway, that's where the second warp pad is up there. It's important that you get that because trying to get to the second tier is not as easy as you might think it would be. You know, it's not just like climbing up a stairs. You know, there's a process from getting from tier to tier. And like, see right here, in order to get back down to the first tier, but a different section of the first tier, we have to go up to the second one. So, you know, it's sort of a crisscrossy type of area that's easy to get lost in, get mixed around in, and you don't have the easy shortcut of the flight pad in this situation because you're solo Banjo, you can't fly without Kazooie, and you need to go the long and hard and difficult and annoying way. So, yeah. But if you just follow what I'm doing, if you've already gotten the warp pad, you can just pick up from where I left off there, and then you should pretty much be fine after that. The like walkways here where where all these grabby hands are coming out of, that's where you're going to find a lot of notes in this level. So you're going to want to make sure that even if you're not going after this ability right now, that you want to make sure that you walk along all of these ledges eventually, because a good number of the notes for this level are on those ledges. So, you know, you're going to want to pick those up. Even though I think by this point we've basically gotten almost enough notes to unlock every single ability in the entire game, but don't quote me on that, so yeah. Anyway, this water is, well, obviously too hot to touch, so you can use Banjo's new ability, the Shack Pack, in order to go underneath these like super hot waters or other dangerous water type areas. So that's pretty cool, I suppose. And that button right there, that's the button that will actually cause us to complete the Pig's Pool mission way back in Jolly Roger's Lagoon. The thing is, however, while they wanted to heat up their swimming pool, they don't want to heat up their swimming pool this much. The picky bastards. So yeah, we're going to need to cool down that pot of water in order to heat up the other pot of water. This is just... Ugh. Ugh, guys, come on, really? Do you really have to be that picky? I mean, seriously, it's just, ugh. But anyway, the Shack Pack, I believe that's what it's called. It's either the Shack Pack or the Sack Pack. You know, they all have similar sounding names. It allows us, most importantly in this level, to go underneath super hot water. So, bombs away. There's two different things in this specific pool that we're going to want to pick up, and this is really one of the only pools in this level that we're really going to want to worry about at the present moment. First off is that Jinjo, which is simple to get, and the other one is that fish, which we'll be using to get a Jiggy later on in the level, so don't worry about that too much, but worry about that, whoa, that slowdown. Yeah, the slowdown has been a problem in Banjo-Tooie the entire way through, and I've never tried to deny that the slowdown wasn't an issue. You know, it is an issue, you know, it's one of the bigger issues in the game. The biggest issue in the game, in my opinion, you know. If there's one flaw I can say about Banjo-Tooie, it's that the slowdown is ridiculous. But nowhere is it more pronounced than in Hailfire Peaks. Hailfire Peaks, for whatever reason, makes the N64 start working like a really hard worker. I don't know, it starts like collapsing during this section, and part of it's just due to how I think how expansive and yet empty Hailfire Peaks is, because this lava area right here takes up quite a bit of like physical space, but most of that physical space is empty air. So, you know, it's just like, it's mostly just like nothingness, because, you know, there's like, it's mostly just a mountain, and then there's a longer area to the back, so, you know, I'd estimate that like a good 60% of the outside area there is just nothing but like empty air and stuff. So, well, when the camera's like pointing at all of that empty space, it's trying to process nothing, I would suppose. You know, I'm just guessing at the technicalities of this. And, you know, it's causing the game to slow down far more than it probably should. And I guess this because most of the time when I've got the camera close and towards one of the walls, the game seems to run a bit slower than if I've got some of the sky or some of the back areas of the level on the screen. And it's especially bad when you're trying to fly around, so... You know, one of these days I'm gonna just buy a 360 so I can finally play Banjo-Tooie as I truly imagined it without this slowdown. Because trying to see Hailfire Peaks with no slowdown would be just... Oh, that would be just amazing. But yeah, that's pretty much just me though, so whatever. The room we're in right now, this room is... well, obviously it's a timed room because there's the air bubbles right there, but unlike most other levels in this game, well, most other, like, areas where the air bubbles pop up in this game, you have a lot more time in this room than a lot of other rooms. Like, most of the time underwater, we'd probably be, like, almost out of bubbles by now, but in this area, it just goes down slowly, just to add a little bit of tension to the room, but not too much. You can leave and then to fill up your air bubbles and come back, and your progress will still be exactly the way it was when you first started, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. You can just take your time with this, exit and enter as you need be, and you'll be fine in the end. You don't have to worry too much about this section here. It's pretty damn simple, if I do say so myself. Also, you can pick up the Jiggy there and then go to those well, you can go to those 3 signs over there after you unlock the Jiggy, but ow! Yeah, I fall and get hurt twice, and I don't really feel like reading those signs anymore because I got hurt and I don't want to deal with it. So, any information you need to know about the game I have already got firmly implanted in my noggin. You know, sometimes it jiggles around and gets lost, but it's in there somewhere, you know. I'm not going to say I don't make mistakes, but I'm perfect and you should all worship me. Oh, there's that egotistical streak going again. I should get back to talking about the level. See, look, the game's slowing down there, even though there's really not much on the screen to process. You know, it's just, you know, an empty sort of area. But here, when you're focusing more on the back areas of the walls, when it's just like the game knows what to load there, I think is what the thing is, you know. When you're looking at nothing, the game's trying to load the draw distance, I would guess. And then, well, if it's trying to load nothing, it's just perpetually loading nothing, and then that's what's probably causing the slowdown. It's a shame, too, that this game has that one obnoxious issue, because if Nintendo didn't rush Rare and make this have to be a holiday release, we probably would have gotten a much smoother running product in, like, spring of 2001 as opposed to November of 2000. Yeah. Anyway, here's one of the honeycomb pieces for this level, and we saw the other one in that, I want to call it the air bubble room, just because I don't have any better way to say it. But you can get that one either by going onto the other side of it, or you can MacGyver your way around it by using a clockwork kazooie egg. But, you know, whatever floats your boat, man. Whatever floats your boat. But anyway, this doorway's strange. Why is it blue when we're in a fire level? Oh my god, ice level! What the fuck? Yeah, that's the big thing about Hailfire Peaks, and it's really what makes it so distinct and one of the more memorable levels of the game, is that it starts off as this really, really, really sort of cliche video game level, you know, the fire level. Oh, we've seen this like 20 million times, you know, Mario's got a fire level, Sonic's got a fire level, Mega Man's got a fire level, every platformer worth his salt's done a fire level, and Hailfire Peaks is not a fire level. It's a fire and ice level, and that's actually really cool, because, you know, the fire side and the ice side are really, on their own terms, kind of generic fire and ice levels. You know, you got your fire level with the lava and the spitting rocks and the fire demons, and on your ice side you got your snow and your ice areas and your yetis. But when you put them together, even in just such a simple way as they're right next to each other as opposed to being different, completely different, like, worlds, you know, it's such a creative twist, because on top of just wondering what sort of climate would create a fire volcano and an icy mountain within 30 feet of each other, you know, it's just cool to see the creators be like, okay, we need to do a fire level, because every platformer does a fire level. How do we make it different? Well, how about we put our ice level in there too? And that's just, I really do like, love the way that they did that. I will say that I'm more a fan of the fire rendition of the Hailfire Peaks theme as opposed to the ice rendition, but, you know, I'm not going to cut any points for that, you know. Both have their appeal. If you like one over the other, that's just your thing. I will say, though, that it's pretty clear that they had obviously intended for the ice side of Hailfire Peaks to be the main side, because you do a lot more in the ice half of Hailfire Peaks than in the fire half. And that's mostly just because, I hope I'm remembering this backstory correctly, but Hailfire Peaks was originally meant to be a level in Banjo-Kazooie. It was, I think it was called like Mount Fire Eyes or something, but it was scrapped either due to disk space or due to time or whatever. And they took some of that scrapped level idea and put it into Banjo-Tooie instead. You know, attaching a ice part to it afterwards. And you know, this is basically the way that I can like differentiate between Banjo-Tooie and Banjo-Kazooie, because Banjo-Tooie is like levels in Banjo-Tooie are quite literally twice the size of levels in Banjo-Kazooie, because you know, Hailfire Peaks' fireside is roughly like the size of one of Banjo-Kazooie's bigger areas, you know. Levels in Banjo-Tooie are remarkably small when you compare them to levels in Tooie. You know, Kazooie's levels, they're very self-contained. They don't sprawl as much as Tooie's do. Tooie is basically, the way that you can think about it is that Banjo-Kazooie's levels, they're the smaller half of one of Banjo-Tooie's levels. So that's really just sort of a great way to think about it. How, if you want to think about how expansive Tooie is in comparison to its predecessor, that's the best way to do it. And I know that some people don't like it that way, but you're wrong and I'm right, because I'm me and I'm inherently better than you. No, I'm just kidding. I just like it better because, you know, open world gameplay and shit. But anyway, we are committing homicide. Or Ice Cube-icide. Yeah, you know, she seemed like a perfectly nice lady, a bit lonely and kind of clingy, perhaps, but, you know, was saving that Jinjo who would just hop up and down and say, "Jinjo!" really worth the cost of a precious, I don't want to say human, but sentient life? Nah, probably not. We need that Jinjo for our collection, man. No, don't worry about it. Anyway, if you'll notice, this is basically a gigantic Banjo-Kazooie nostalgia trip, or at least a throwback trip, because, you know, it's a little bit early for nostalgia in this series. This is only the second game. But here's Boggy. You should have expected to see him when you saw Boggy's wife back in Witchy World. The music that they're playing right now is actually a remix of the Freezy Peak theme from Banjo-Kazooie 1. And if you look on the TV there, or at least when I turn the camera so that you can see it a little bit better, well, I think that guy's like, he's a snowman and he's got something to do with Rare. I don't really know. I think he was intended to be their mascot, but nobody really gives a fuck about him. But, you know, that's a nice Easter egg, I suppose. Anyway, Boggy doesn't really do much in this game. He's there for throwback purposes, and I guess they just wanted to make him a fat 50-year-old dad, I suppose. But you just give him the fish that you found inside the hot water area, and then he'll give you a Jiggy. So that's a relatively simple one for your collection. If you go down to the basement, you can talk to the kids, too, if you had managed to rescue them from Witchy World, of course. But, you know, that's not really that big of a deal, though, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Yeah. Anyway, we're basically done for right now, but next time on Let's Play Banjo-Tooie, we are going to continue exploring both halves of Hailfire Peaks, the fire half and the ice half. Well, actually, that might be a lie. We might be mostly focusing on the ice half, because the ice half is basically what we're doing right now, but we might see some more of the fire half, too. I'm ExandShadow, and I'll see you guys later.